Brilliant, fantastic talks, great questions, well done. Okay, on to the next one. We have Stefan.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stefan. I am the owner of Fanabit, and since a little bit more than 5 years, I built the DIOPSIS camera. I'm doing that together with Naturalis. So I build the camera, they do the AI. I'll tell you something about some results from the last project, 21-24. But I know that high over, and I don't know anything about how they exactly did that. But I'll tell you also about all the hardware updates we did and what we found out. This project started around 7 years ago, and we started. Naturalis started with this version. They wanted to do some research because we had a decline of about 75% of all insects, of biomass of all insects found in just on the border of Nijmegen by Germany. And they wanted to continue that research on a bigger scale. So they built that camera. We used that one for 2 years. And then we decided we need something which is more sturdy, which is more durable, and will continue this process. So then we built 130 of the other ones. And at this moment we have a 210. I'll tell you later. And this is actually a team up between Naturalis, the Radboud University, and me. But what were actually the project details when we started? What I just said, we wanted to monitor the broadest possible range of insect populations, flying insect in this case. We didn't want to stay to one piece. We didn't want to do only night insects. We wanted to do day and night, and as broad as possible. So at this moment, we have about 40 families in it, some on the species level. And the idea is that at the end of the year, we're changing the algorithm, and we'll add, I don't know how many more, but at least 25 more on family level, and hopefully more on species. And if I look in this group, I think we can do way, way more at the end. We wanted to do standardized and long-term monitor. So some of those projects are already running for 7 years at the moment of those locations, and we want to continue that in a comparable way that everybody can use the same setup. So we also have, for example, we try to keep all the cameras in the same direction and everything. We have kind of a protocol for that. Compare across sites, land types, or whatever. You can use it everywhere is the idea. And we just still want to know how are the communities changing and what can we do about it if we need to do something about it. But during this process, I got quite a lot of questions from farmers and greenhouse owners. So are we also able to do something in that way, extend that? Since this year, I'm part of a startup network from greenhouses, and they want to develop all kinds of techniques in and around greenhouses to see if you can monitor things around it. And so we can identify pests earlier, for example, or that we can also identify the predators of those pests. And one of the first things we're probably going to do is I work together with PATS, which is a company which is actually doing things into the greenhouses. And we want to monitor data from outside greenhouses, inside greenhouses, and we want to create kind of a data radar. If we can compare with all data we already have, if we can make estimations what is actually coming from in and out, or out and in, and if we can track that down already with the data we have, to see if we can tell something about what's the goal, or the way they run around, those insects, or fly around actually. But something about the camera. We have at this moment about 210 cameras. I think at this moment 150 are deployed something, and the rest you can buy or lease, or can be used in other projects. This moment, I think we are in about 10 countries in Europe. They have been to Curacao, I think in the antenna project, actually. And that's expanding. I try to keep it at this moment in Europe to be able to give a service level we like to have, but people still take them wherever they like. So sometimes I just figure out that there's a camera in, for example, Portugal, and I was not aware that it is there. So they travel ahead of me. sometimes you find your cameras completely overgrown. I think you all know that. You talked about stealing a camera. We had over 600 placements all over the Netherlands for a longer period. So most of the time they are standing there for a couple of months. And we had 4 stealings. I think that's okay. 2 in the same spot and 2 cameras at the two cameras were on the same spot in a completely open field in a park, and the other 2 were in a fenced area where you need a permit to get in and everything, and they stole the hat twice in the year afterwards. And what we mostly do if we put it somewhere open, we just put a sign next to it. Tell people why you do this and what you do. And that seems to work quite well. This was the first production here. We had a very big hall and we set them all up, and was kind of creepy actually. When you turn up the light, all those lights went on, and it was 1,600 square meters of hall with all those cameras in. It was like an army. What do we do to monitor our cameras? Not what's coming out, but we want to keep track of all our cameras. Sometimes they're far away, they can be everywhere. So we created a portal, and in this portal you can see how your camera is doing. For example, this one shows over time with me that it has been not sending data for a couple of minutes. That's still okay. But at a certain moment they get red or even black, and then you know it's off. We also have some alarms next to it. We know the location of the camera, and if the camera, for example, changed by a farmer or somebody, you get the location point will get red. So we're still working on getting already real notifications on that, but most of the time we just look at your overview and you see what happened. If you want to zoom in one camera, you can just click on the graph and you'll see all the pictures it made as soon as you have connection. You see your battery status. We have a graph which shows you how many pictures did you make. Is there any movement detected on the pictures? So you have this will give you an overview of your camera. This is actually what we already have. I'll tell you now something about the project we did, and then I'll continue to the improvements we did. So what I already told you, we have a placement protocol. So screen is always facing south, even if you put it vertically, the camera, that's also an option to put it vertically. We notice that we find then more day insects than night, and less night insects, still more night insects because then you're the only attracted around. And we have the model always facing south. We try to place the solar panel a little bit further away because it's also something which is heating up, and we want to avoid to be the attractant. And if possible, we always have a local contact person. There's always some grass growing or spider webs around. We're actually working on AI parts to detect that. The AI part is up with the integration, not yet. And with these ways of working, we created a data set for the province project we did for 21 to 24. We actually created 420,000 hours of camera data for all cameras. We applied that only to a smaller set to have data which is comparable between cameras, and we knew there were insects on it, so we had about 342 years of data to identify, and we detected 4.4 million insects on that. This is only for the project 21-24. So we made in that project about 35 million images. At this moment, I have more than 80,000 million images, and that is growing and growing. And what did we capture actually? Most of it is flies actually. Cameras were placed in 3 types of areas. So I will come to that later as well, but developed areas, forests, and farmland. And what we see is that during the day, we capture way less than during the nights, which is one of the things probably because Normally you have the sun, that's a big attractant. And during the night, we're the only one. And how does land use compare that to each other? We selected all the insects and we took moths. What we see during the day, not much is happening. And I think, especially 22 is a strange year. We had some issues with the cameras, but what we see is that during the years it grow. And 24 is also a strange one because we had a smaller set of cameras. Sorry? 2 minutes. Okay. Then you can discuss this later with me. This is the same. I think I want to tell you something more about the development we're doing now. That's more interesting for me. And so what did we do to update the camera? We changed the camera to 12 megapixels. To do that, we needed to update the full software stack that we had. And then in the software stack, we also updated everything because we had some failures in the camera. It stopped working and we didn't know why. So we updated the whole stack. We had some more protections in it. We did some things with the clock to keep it more autonomous. And what we faced until now is that from those 18 cameras in Zeeland, I still track them. There's one off at the moment and probably it's off, but if I just repower it, it still made pictures, probably lost only connection. So that's a huge step better than we had last year. What we also did is we added all the data we have of the camera. So your lighting settings, your ISO, everything. We added everything to the JSON of the EXIF of the photo because we wanted to have one package of everything. You still can have it downloaded separately, but you want one photo with everything in it. So actually, that's what we do at the moment. We still, I still want to put them everywhere more, and I think we might have a big camera, but that's also we still have issues with cows. And the future, we want to deploy them everywhere. We're in some of the Naturalis projects as well. At this moment, the technology ready level is around 7, we think, and I want to bring that to 8 or 9 in the next coming years. Data analysis at this moment is still at the end of the season, and we want to bring that to near real time so you can use it also in agriculture. And we want to try to get into the Dutch network for ecological monitoring. Any questions?
Fantastic. Brilliant. Who wants to kick us off?
Today, you have to know difference between the natural, agricultural areas.
Yes.
They use to show that picture of the day, right? The way insects are more to the flowers, they have to the same level for looking at the table. She is about all perspectives.
I think I should give that question to Ilke, but what I can tell you, if you have farmer lands, you have way more flies, and we also able to detect a lot of more flies. And if you go to the more natural land, that's more in balance. You have less flies, which will land. I think that's one of the explanations, and the rest we should ask Ilke because he will also make a paper of this and even more. So he can answer that question way better, I think.
So good.
Thanks, Stefan. And to estimate what an observation becomes. But it's an observation. Scroll how many observation get and you have college about the possible with pathway and the fall and associated costs. I think in the future we the old to as a community quantify what does it cost to make an observation with different technologies, so we can really claim that they are cost efficient. So I was just wondering, since you might have had that question before, when you already knows.
I can make a small estimation. I think if you're in, depends also if you're science, an NGO or a government or a commercial company, because we make differences in pricing for, so if you're in science and you do a camera and you run that for a year, that's around 2,700 euros for a site or for a camera. And if you want to place to other places, that doesn't matter. You can do as many analyzes if you like to, but that's about the price for a camera. And if you're commercial, it's about 1,000 euros more. But also take in mind that if you have a commercial company and you need to send somebody around to every place several times, that's probably more expensive.
Time as the unit, not number of species occurring as the unit. If you think that's the most sensible way to calculate the loss, because obviously you put them up in a development area, you pay more for your approach to get the lowest.
I think so too, but I think it's a very important one.
Question, last one.
In the